Katie is done with LFU. According to the interview she did on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, she feels like LFU violated her trust and there's no going back. I'm glad to hear Katie is not friends with LFU anymore. Good riddance. Listen to the podcast when you can. It's really good. That's right, Katie. Lala will obviously tell producers and LVP whatever they want to hear. And Lala had a problem with Katie for basically a year and a half and wasn't honest about it. That's weird. Plus, calling Katie miserable on Instagram when Lala seems very miserable herself. Katie is the realest one of these women. She doesn't pretend or fake friendships. LFU, who can't conceive of behaving like a real human without being told what to do by production, didn't foresee this as a consequence. I think she will be work friends but will never trust her again. It didn't seem like she hated Lala, she just knows who she is and will share personal details and feelings accordingly. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Spill Chronicles. It's me, Ramona, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. However, I'm rewatching the show, and I'm on the Season 7 reunion. I was surprised by how quickly Brittany went from saying, "go to hell," when Jax cheated with their mutual friend, to planning a wedding with him. It all seemed to happen in less than a year. I'm not sure where they stand now, but I think they're not together, possibly due to his cheating. Can't wait to catch up. I understand there are psychological factors at play like low self-esteem and Jax's ability to manipulate. But wow, he had been lying and cheating on people for decades by that point, did it to her, and then she married him almost immediately. I'm not blaming her, he's awful and she didn't deserve that. But that's the thing, she didn't deserve it and yet she allowed it to continue. I don't quite grasp the rush to get married right after all that drama. Sorry if I sound naive. I know people forgive cheaters all the time, but it seems rare for someone to commit so quickly afterward. Regarding my other opinion, no, I blame her. Brittany cheated on her long-term boyfriend to hook up with Jax in Vegas, then moved to LA to live with a reality TV star. Despite everyone telling her they would support her after he cheated and side with her over him, she took him back. Then she was humiliated when he broke up with her anyway after all that, but she took him back again. Throughout the rest of the show, she fought with people who disliked Jax and were tired of his behavior, essentially becoming his defender. She signed up for this and doubled down. She wanted fame and was willing to let Jax mistreat her for it. Jax wasn't going to end the relationship and found a partner he couldn't mistreat enough to make her leave him. Now Brittany is a star of a reality show, which she likely sees as far better than being an anonymous woman in rural Kentucky, where she probably would have faced cheating and divorce too. I think many factors were at play. Not only was she okay with Jax mistreating her for fame, but by then, he probably had severely impacted her self-esteem. Then his father passed away, and she willingly took care of him. During this time, he also cut off contact with his mother. Brittany probably leaned on him a lot, and may have interpreted his reliance on her as a positive change in behavior. Plus, by that point, both Scheana and Katie had already gotten married on the show, meaning a whole season of wedding celebrations centered on them and their partners, with everyone accommodating their wishes. Additionally, here's my take on the best and worst male cast members of Vanderpump Rules. Best? Beau. He's consistently shown loyalty to Stassi and tends to be more level-headed during conflicts. His approach to relationships and handling drama is commendable. Ken. While not as prominent, Ken's support for Lisa and his relatively drama-free presence make him one of the better cast members. The line cooks. Their high-fiving after Kristen got fired from SUR was a memorable and amusing moment, highlighting their behind-the-scenes perspective. Worst. Tom Sandoval. Even before Sandoval, Sandoval had many moments that showed his true character. From shaving his forehead to his fake crying, he always seemed to have a facade. The scandal with Raquel just solidified his position as one of the worst. Jax Taylor, openly a cheater and a liar, Jax's behavior throughout the series was consistently problematic. However, his transparency about his actions, while not justifiable, makes him slightly less insidious than someone like Sandoval, who hid behind a good guy image. Tom Schwartz. Many viewers see Schwartz as a nice guy, but his actions, especially towards Katie and other friends, reveal a different story. From dumping a drink on Katie's head to his overall lack of accountability, he's been problematic. Patrick. His brief time on the show was marked by condescending and disrespectful behavior, making him a strong contender for one of the worst. Honorable mentions for worst. Frank, Carter, and James all had their moments of being problematic, but they didn't consistently display the same level of negative behavior as the core worst members. General thoughts? Peter, while generally likable, some viewers find him a bit sleazy, but he's not as problematic as others. Lisa's son. He seems alright and hasn't been involved in much drama. Overall, opinions can vary widely, but these seem to be common sentiments among fans of the show. Moreover, after watching Season 9 for the first time, I wasn't very interested after half the cast got fired, so I didn't watch much, but wow. What made Scheana decide to marry and have a child with Brock? Sure, Lala talked about the domestic violence allegations and being banned from seeing his kids, but that's intense, right? He's not allowed to see his kids, and there's a domestic violence charge. In the reunion, he talked so casually about slapping his wife and how she won't let him near the kids until he pays all his child support. Seriously, wow. I don't get why Scheana keeps defending him, and it's unsettling how nonchalant he was about hitting the mother of his children. And then going to Lala to plan the engagement, disappearing when asked about a budget, and then secretly getting married at James and Raquel's engagement party. What on earth was that about? Why were Scheana and Ariana defending him for that? And announcing your engagement at someone else's party? That's peak Scheana. Imagine if someone did that at her wedding. Just rude. James handled it well. I'm surprised Raquel wasn't more upset. Then there's Lala, acting like she didn't know Randal was married when they got together, blatantly lying and constantly gossiping about others. It's crazy. Everyone knew she was the mistress, and she was publicly taunting Randal's ex-wife. Really cringy and gross. Honestly, I hope they get booted from the show. I hope they lose their paychecks. I hope they end up waiting tables at SUR. These people are the worst. Scheana comes off as shallow and desperate. She seems obsessed with being chosen, especially by Brock, over his actual family. Actually, here's something worse. I think a big part of Scheana's issues, aside from her stage mom, stems from her biological dad abandoning her. Subconsciously or not, I think Scheana sees Brock as another absent father figure finally choosing her. She rushed into having a baby with him to be the first to have a storyline and to avoid being single, which she hates. As for Brock, he probably got with her because he's broke and saw an opportunity for money and a green card. He left his country and family for those things and targeted a desperate woman. Lala is just awful. No one believes her because she lies about everything. Of course, she knew Randal was married with kids and didn't care because money was her priority. She was using her looks before she met him. And getting pregnant quickly for financial gain? I wouldn't put it past her to pursue another married wealthy man. And Raquel didn't seem bothered by the engagement party drama because she was involved with Tom. Just wait until season 10. Apparently, you'll dislike Raquel even more than Scheana and Lala. On the other hand, as an original viewer who's watched the series countless times, I've developed a strong dislike for Tom and Tom, although it wasn't always this way. I'm relieved that their problematic behavior is finally being acknowledged. It's hard to think of positive traits about them, but here's a thought. The Toms should have ventured into event planning. It's clear that Sandoval loves being dramatic, extra, and over the top, down to the smallest detail. Given their lack of work ethic, they could have capitalized on what they enjoy. Sandoval with his flair for presentation and Schwartz with his charm. But realistically, they could have been very successful if it weren't for Sandoval's antics. They might have even franchised the business. Has this idea been discussed before? I'm fairly new to Reddit. I'm curious what others think. Tom has a creative vision, but he lacks the discipline to execute it unless it directly benefits him. He would need a strict and patient partner, much like Schwartz had to become for their restaurant. Moreover, he lacks the business savvy to manage a budget that ensures reasonable profits. For instance, the motorcycle promotion for TomTom was a clever branding move, but spending nearly $20,000 on a fleeting promotion for a $50,000 investment just doesn't make business sense. While this isn't event planning and doesn't revolve around Sandoval, Schwartz recently organized an event with Jax. They arranged a bus for 20 to 30 people for a bar crawl starting at TomTom, then going to Schwartz and Sandoval's place, and ending at Jax's tent bar. Apparently, Jax caused a scene and frightened a woman into returning to the bus for the last part of the trip. And to top it off, their lone toilet was overflowing when they arrived. They reportedly charged $250 per person, and customers had to Uber back to TomTom. I'm not sure what Schwartz did during all this, aside from possibly managing upset customers. If Sandoval had been involved, I can only imagine there would have been a themed event with a TomTom involving Jax. However, I've been a fan of VPR since day one, and I can't help but wonder if Jax orchestrated this whole separation, seeing other people, and toxic relationship narrative with Brittany to create a scandal akin to Sandoval 2.0. Hear me out. Jax has always been shady, stirring the pot, and trying to boost ratings. Could it be that he concocted a storyline, whether Brittany was in on it or not, where they would fight publicly, he would appear to cheat, or some other scandalous event to generate more interest on social media and elsewhere? It wouldn't surprise me, given their history. I wouldn't put it past them, considering how desperate they are for attention. However, I also wouldn't discount the possibility that he's genuinely cheating on her. Absolutely, they both seem willing to do anything for attention and aren't exactly subtle about it. If Brittany is still doing everything for him and they're still intimate, then they're not really separated, regardless of her living situation. And Jax being involved with other people fits his pattern, as he's never been known for monogamy. I recall hearing something about a Sandoval-type drama, prompting them to pick up the cameras again at the start. Since their split was announced, people have accused them of faking it for ratings, though Brittany denies this, saying they wouldn't do that to Cruz. Personally, I hope they wouldn't exploit their son like that, but with Jax, nothing would surprise me. Additionally, Tom Sandoval is just insufferable. He's always been a self-obsessed, whiny, cringeworthy jerk with a huge superiority complex. As I rewatch the series, I find myself skipping scenes focused on him. His sense of self-importance is incredibly frustrating to watch. I can't believe everyone around him actually liked and tolerated his 24/7 egotistical behavior before Sandoval. And don't even get me started on his constant whining. It's unbearable. If Super Nanny existed for adults, he'd be permanently on the naughty step. I feel secondhand embarrassment for him. His lack of self-reflection is astonishing. He seems to think he's some inspirational figure when, in reality, he should be the subject of a book titled "Don't Be a Jerk: How Not to Conduct Yourself If You Want to Be Liked." That high-pitched, nasal screeching at whichever woman is closest in the room just sets my teeth on edge every single time. Stassi really saw through him from the beginning. Have you noticed how he seems to hate anyone with a strong personality who can see through his facade? Stassi and Katie in particular come to mind. He projects onto them for no reason. While he may not be a true narcissist, people with narcissistic tendencies often villainize those who don't buy into their act. Stassi was initially on his side and equally hurt when Jax and Kristen cheated, but somehow he managed to paint her as the villain in that situation. He's completely threatened by anyone who doesn't buy into his perfect persona. He's terrified of being called out and shakes like a leaf when confronted. When he said, "Anyone who's known me long enough knows that my greatest fear is being called jealous," I almost couldn't believe it. He genuinely believes he's some flawless specimen of a man. Moreover, when will the Bambi-eyed bitch finally stop and give Ariana and this scandal a break? I hope Ariana stays strong during this lawsuit ordeal, because it seems like the Bambi-eyed bitch won't quit until Ariana suffers as she desires. If Ariana weren't occupied after the scandal, she'd probably be on the brink of depression with all the stress this person is causing her. I really dislike her. She might be one of the worst people in Bravo history. Of all the cast members, I never imagined she'd turn out to be so problematic and chaotic. It's like she's possessed. If she would just let this go, we could all finally get a break from hearing about this scandal. I'm completely over it now. It's run its course. Regarding the worst people in Bravo history, Jen Shah defrauded elderly and vulnerable people, causing some to lose their entire life savings. Tom Girardi embezzled millions from clients, including families of plane crash victims, and Erica may have been complicit. Brooks Ayers fabricated having cancer on the show. Raquel had an affair, which is immoral but not the worst behavior seen on VPR. Compared to these individuals, Raquel's actions pale in comparison. In a recent episode of Below Deck Down Under, Bravo producers intervened to prevent a sexual assault by one male crew member on another. After firing the offender, they also dismissed a female crew member who repeatedly ignored boundaries and persisted after being asked to stop touching a fellow crew member who wasn't interested. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.